riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Why I Hate This Album. I am your host, Garrett Harvey, and with me as always is Timothy Richardson. Tim, how you doing?
Doing great.
Glad to hear it. I am certain that you are doing even better after the album we've been listening to lately. Why don't you tell the good folks at home what we've been listening to?
We have been listening for the past week to Smash Mouth's 1999 sophomore album and masterpiece, Astro Lounge.
The sarcasm is thick. Yes, as you said, we did listen to Smash Mouth's Astro Lounge. Tim.
Yes?
Do you hate this album?
I feel like this is going to be an unpopular opinion. You're going to disagree and argue with me about this, but I hated this record. Jesus Christ, it's bad.
It is probably not an unpopular opinion.
Oh, do you agree with my opinion?
Tim, this has been a difficult week for me. I have had to do a lot of soul searching because we picked this album, and in all full disclosure, you sort of kind of suggested this album. It was in our list O albums. What I didn't realize is that not only did I own this album, I listened to this album to the point where I know all the words to all the songs and the melodies and the chorus and the bridge. I thought that I had a mixed CD with a couple of Smash Mouth songs on it. What I actually have is the soundtrack of the summer of '99, where a 16-year-old Garrett was unsuccessfully cruising for ladies. Tim, not only do I hate this album, I hate myself for loving this album when it first came out.
All right, well, there you have it. You hate you, I hate you. This has been Why I Hate This Album.
Nope, let's press forward. We must, as we deconstruct this album and possibly my own psyche. So general thoughts. You hate this album. You vehemently hate this album. In 200 words or less, why?
So, I don't know that I can get it
Please
down
speak
to
slower.
200.
I can't. You've wasted 13.
I don't know what genre it is. It sounds like every song they're doing 9 genres at once. It switches wildly between genres. I understand completely why you say you thought it was a mix CD that had several Smash Mouth songs on it, because only maybe 3 songs are, to me, recognizable as Smash Mouth songs. It is oppressive. It is upbeat. It's dumbly positive. The whole thing sounds like it was composed by a computer.
It does seem vaguely reminiscent. Yes, I'm glad you said that because, hey, we'll get to it. But I have so many notes that point back to this might be evidence for a simulation situation, a matrix, if you will. Tim, we may live in the matrix because in hindsight, looking back at the songs, these songs don't talk about anything.
Yeah, I have that for a number of songs.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that when we get to the songs.
We'll get there.
Right.
But it's hard to summarize why you hate this album without kind of digging into the fact that it may or may not have been architected by cyborgs, at best cyborgs, possibly androids.
So this album, it's very much of a time, and unfortunately, that time
was horrible.
Yeah, it was a dark age of music. We can blame Carson Daly, I think, for foisting this nonsense on our country. He was apparently a big factor in them becoming Smash Mouth.
Yeah, that's true.
So but
you got to understand, it was a pre-9/11 world, Tim. We were a less serious country. We were willing to put up with utter nonsense. Because if you look at and we'll get there, but the lifespan of this band as an actual creative force capable of generating any sort of commercial revenue is not long. And
so you're giving an example of how 9/11 was a good thing for the world.
Your words, not mine.
Yeah.
Jesus. Anyway, back to the album.
Right. So this whole thing, other than it being clearly written by a cyborg, it sounds like that cyborg was fed The Big Lebowski like 822 times in a row, pop punk, Real Big Fish, Elvis Costello, Sublime, Cake, Presidents of the USA, and then it was just like, me too. I can do this. I can.
And don't forget every episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives starring Guy Fieri.
Oh, we'll get there. So, the main singer, Steve Harwell. This is a man undeserving of one of my patented cool nicknames. He does not get a nickname.
Wow.
No nickname for Steve
miss.
Harwell.
I was wondering how you were going to do it. I question whether or not it's a cop-out because you couldn't come up with a good one. Do you have a good one?
I didn't even think about it. I did not make it there. This man looks like Fred Durst and Guy Fieri made tender but passionate, beautiful love.
Why does it have to be passionate?
I just would have given my knowledge of those two men, I assume it would be passionate. Anyway, the resulting love child...
I feel like it would have had a lot of buffalo sauce.
Buffalo sauce can be passionate.
Anyway, no, you know what? Did you know the name of Guy Fieri's custom sauce? It's called donkey sauce, Tim.
Okay, all right, you know what? No, it is... Jesus Christ. Why would you... Anyway.
Not making it up.
Resulting love child of their now sweaty thrusting grew up, ate too much pie, and then was like stung in the face by a bunch of bees. That's who the singer is.
Well, this is what's so mind-bending, and, you know, we're jumping to way ahead here, but spoiler alert, this guy who I literally thought was Guy Fieri, do you know they're buds?
Yeah, they apparently...
That's crazy.
He was on their show several times, I believe.
They hang out. It's odd. So we've drifted slightly off topic. General thoughts, aside from the fact that Steve Harwell looks a tremendous amount like Guy Fieri. Like, not a look to go after.
No, that is something... If I ever look like that, I need you to do some sort of intervention, because that is...
I will slap you and shout in your face until you lose weight in front of me.
Fair enough. Okay, so back to the album. I don't know if you got this impression, but from me, it sounds like they are simultaneously ripping off so many bands and so many genres, in most cases quite poorly, but it actually, because it's so much stuff at the same time, it started to trick me into thinking that this was a unique sound. It was ripping off so many things at simultaneously
such a high rate
that to my ear couldn't process it fast enough, and I was like, oh, this is a unique sound. It is not. It's just, it all seems very familiar, but it's like 30 different popular songs being played at once, and it changes wildly throughout.
So I will hold up somebody who comes up on the show a lot, Beck. This is a man who can mix genres, change tempos, and have a song that seems diametrically opposed to itself and still come off flawlessly. So this is possible to do. You can completely forget about the fact that you've got a guy who may not be terrifically talented in a specific style, but they're making it their own to the point that you can enjoy it and view it as something unique or at least worth pursuing. That is not the Purell, hand-sanitized, weird robot lyrics, stripper DJ sounding, singing that is... So that... What you're saying is interesting because I agree that every single song is in a different style, often multiple styles at once, to the point where it just becomes a muddled mess. However, I also had a hard time even really differentiating the songs because throughout the whole thing is this guy's buzzsaw voice that sounds like he's had too many Pall Malls and needs just a good glass of water and a great night's sleep. But he's doing it on purpose, and then I started listening closer. They double track every one of his vocals. So you're just getting double the somebody. Like,
yeah,
that's horrible. But then double track it and turn it up a little bit, and that's what this song is. Anyway.
Whenever I was doing a little bit of research for this, I read somebody describing this, and I think it's the perfect description for what his vocals sound like if you ignore the fact that
if you taught a pig to sing.
No, if you ignore the fact that it's double-tracked, what it sounds like is this was all written by a guitarist for a band. It's like the demo version where he's trying to explain to the singer what he wants it to sound like before the real vocals are recorded, and then they just forgot.
Yes, I completely agree. They're placeholders.
Yes, yeah.
It's odd to have a band where you go to the trouble of writing songs, but vocals seem to be an afterthought.
The fact that this was popularized in large part by Shrek makes a ton of sense.
Oh, yeah.
So, musically, the entire album, and most specifically the song All-Star, it sounds like this was recorded for children, and they're the kinds of songs kids will insist on playing, these incessant, just terrible songs while you slowly go insane in the corner, and if you turn them off...
They freak.
Right. That's what this is. It was like recorded with that in mind.
This is children's music being disguised as for adults. And there's nothing about it that's for adults. It's hardly for children. I wouldn't play this for a child.
No. What I like about this album is that you can just by seeing the cover, you know it's going to be classy. Okay.
It looks like somebody got their first Mac. And
right.
Like, oh, look, you can do graphics on it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it is definitely an argument for judging something by its cover.
Judging something wholly accurately by its
Exactly,
cover.
Yes. The Jetsons-inspired bullshit is a perfect representation of these songs.
I wouldn't even go so far as to insult the Jetsons that make the comparison. But I listened to the shit out of this album, as we will get into.
All right. Well, yeah, let's talk about our personal history with this album.
So aside from the singles, did you know this album at all?
I didn't. I'd heard a few of these songs before. Obviously, All-Star and Can't Get Enough of You, Baby. Like, those songs, they were on the radio. And I have memories of listening to this on, like, the bus to middle school and hearing a couple of them in commercials. But I would say at least 12 of these songs I don't think I've ever heard before.
Wow. As I have said, I got a copy of this. This was one of the first CDs I ever burned. It came out the summer between my 10th and 11th grade. So I was fresh in my sweet wheels, which at the time was a 93 F-150, single cab, bench seats. You could start that car without keys. That was one of the features it had. So I used this album in so many very different ways, Tim. Most importantly, to sing alone to myself. But I have so many memories of people asking me what CD this was, and then telling them and having them say, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So simultaneously, they knew Smash Mouth, but did not know any of the songs other than the hits you just listed, except for this asshole who knew the deep cuts. But that's what makes this whole thing so heartbreaking, is I had no idea that was this album. I really thought I just had a couple Smash Mouth songs on that burnt CD. No, it's Astro Lounge. I just didn't write the name on it. Because I was 16 and stupid. I was making copies of Smash Mouth, for God's sake. So I knew all the words, and I had a good friend who routinely I would make fun of because he didn't like this album. Or this, what I thought was a mixed CD.
What a douchebag.
Oh, that guy had great taste in music. So yeah, as I'll divulge when we get into some of these songs, I basically was constantly trying to apply a soundtrack to my life and force other people to listen to it in some sort of weird John Hughes-esque moment building. As you'll see, it did not end well. No personal history for you. Cornerstone of my childhood.
Yeah. I like to think that this album might be the difference between us.
The one?
Yes.
Fair
We
enough.
would be the exact same person if I had heard this album, or if you had stayed away from it.
I'm glad I took that bullet, I guess.
No, man, you're headed face first into homelessness. I'm doing all right.
That's fair. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about how this abomination came to be. The band was founded when? 1994, I think?
Yes, I believe so.
Mr. Harwell, as you've mentioned, who shall remain nicknameless, started the band.
Yeah, the way the internet made this sound is that, so the manager knew, or his manager knew the guitarist and bassist and like put them together almost like a boy band kind of thing.
I think it was more of just a, hey, you want to jam with my friends?
Okay. But previous to this, he was a rappist for a group called Freedom of Speech, or FOS for short. We almost have to listen to that at some point, right?
Check the website. We almost certainly, any video I can find of Freedom of Speech will be posted there. Yeah, so they founded the band in 1994. Very quickly, they were able to get themselves a record deal after they got a little local radio play in where? San Jose, maybe?
Yeah, that's where they're from, yeah.
So they get signed to Interscope. They released their first album. What's the name of it?
Fush You Mang?
That's why I can't remember it. That does okay. It's got a couple of singles on it that gets them some heat. But then they discover that if they can just water down their sound a little bit more, that's where the real success is. And they begin mostly I think their biggest hits... There's a lot of covers in their biggest hits.
And it's kind of an interesting mix of covers. Like, just reading through the names of it, you would think they have really good taste in music. Or at least a diverse taste in music. I'll say that.
Warning, controversial statement coming. I have a theory about this band. I was paying pretty close attention. I think you probably saw who writes all the songs.
The guitarist.
What's his name? Greg Camp? Mm-hmm. Greg Camp writes all of the songs, and he's the guitarist. And I would argue, if you listen, hey, Tim, we'll get there. In a lot of the songs, there are very intricate guitar solos where there make no sense.
Yeah.
To be an intricate acoustic guitar solo. So I think that he writes these fairly complicated songs on a guitar, and then a studio executive, or a record executive, or a robot just puts words over it. Or possibly Guy Fieri just farts out something.
No, as far as I can tell, he's at least credited with writing the lyrics for this stuff.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's credited for almost all of these songs. He's credited as, like, the solo songwriter for them.
Wait, Greg Camp is?
Yes.
Okay.
Not
Guy Fieri. Yeah, who guys, if you're listening at home, Guy Fieri is the lead singer, okay? Just get over it. I don't know his name. You don't know his name. It's Guy Fieri, okay? He's making donkey sauce and he's trying to give you diarrhea. He's also the lead singer of a band nobody remembers or likes.
Oh, the internet remembers. The internet remembers very well.
Okay, so then they crap out their second album, Smash Mouth. It does shockingly well as a nation with a strong economy before the dot-com burst. Like I said, a pre-9/11 world. We had it so easy, Tim. We were willing to be placated by this utter bubblegum nonsense. And hey, Britney Spears was around the corner, but at least, somebody was in her team writing real music. This is the kind of thing, I mean, she was running around half naked. These guys, if they were... Do you remember Weeble Wobbles, Tim? Do you know what Weeble Wobbles are?
No, I do not.
The Weeble Wobbles weeble and they wobble, but they don't fall down. They're egg-shaped toys for children.
You know what? I do remember this.
Yeah, so this band, if you were to show me them and they were, even better example, I'll bring it into this decade. If you were to show me that it was just a bunch of wacky inflatable arm flailing tube men that sing in this band, it would not shock me.
No, it's actually a very good image. You just put some wraparound Oakley's sunglasses and bowling shirts on them. Done.
Who's wearing bowling shirts?
Big fat guys, that's who.
Don't forget about party animals.
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough about how this thing came to be spawned on our planet. Now let's get to the important thing. How do we stop it? No, let's talk about the tracks. Let's dig into these fucking terrible songs.
All right, first up.
Who's there?
That's right.
The very first thing I wrote down while listening to this, well, actually, that's not true. The very first thing I wrote down, I'm kidding you not, I am staring at my notes right now. It says, "Oh no, I owned this."
Yeah, this is not a good start to an album. There's lots of bleeps and blorps. The underlying music sounds remarkably like Blink-182, which we'll come back to later in this song. But then you've got what, as far as I can tell, it's just the noises from Mars Attacks playing in the background, right?
I was going to say it was a pinball machine without any wins. Or maybe before you put a quarter in.
Well, yeah,
it's just kind of the ringing.
It's that tempo, definitely. But the sounds, because, I mean, it's apparently a song about aliens, maybe.
Yes. They're not about anything. Immediately I was brought back to, like, the late 90s, early 2000s, of these, like, get ready for the madcap late 90s. Things are about to get very wacky in a very network TV kind of way. Don't worry, everything will be fine.
Yeah. And the music on this, and we can come back to this on several other songs because they do the same thing, most specifically on radio, but it's very, like, new wavy. New wave came out of punk, right?
Agreed.
So this is 90s pop punk trying to, like, go back to new wave, it sounds like.
Man, I gotta blame it on a common culprit on this show. This is ska, dude.
Yeah. Yeah,
it all comes back to this is goddamn ska once again creeping into our popular culture.
And we will get to this on later songs, but I'm so disappointed that you knew all these songs, because whenever I found out that this was ska, I was so happy, because I was just picturing you in your house angry that yet again ska was rearing its stupid head.
When you were a child, did your mom or your dad ever say, "I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed"?
Yes, almost constantly.
Okay, that sounds right.
They were so disappointed.
And I want you to know, I am also very disappointed. But that's not my point. My point is, even worse, I would be angry that it was ska, but I was disappointed that I knew all the words.
Yeah, this is a common theme on this show, too. Past Garrett was terrible.
Yeah, a lot of iterations, a lot of refinement. It's shocking to say that this is the best version of me I've got so far, because this guy's not great.
No, but it was so much worse.
I'm not walking around listening to the Smash Mouth anymore, so I'm at least 65% better.
Yeah. Interesting thing about this song. So this album came out exactly a week after Blink-182's Enema of the State.
I did not know that.
Stay tuned for a future episode of that. But this song reminds me very much of a song on that called Aliens Exist. I have a much richer history with Blink-182 than I do Smash Mouth.
Okay.
But it's pretty much, it's a very similar song. Both about aliens in a very generic way.
Doesn't that album have the exact same producer?
No, I think that guy produced, it was Eric Valentine produced this, but I do not see him on there.
So he had a list online of everything that he had done, and I thought he had done at least one Blink-182. Oh, I'm thinking of Third Eye Blind.
Okay.
Not one Blink-182.
Okay, anyway.
Sorry.
So, first of all, was there an interest in aliens as a popular thing in 1999? Was that a thing I missed? Not sure.
Yeah, I think they were real hot then.
Okay.
I don't know.
Anyway, with how quickly these albums came out, I actually tried to see if these bands had toured together beforehand to see if one ripped the other off on this. Couldn't really find much, but I was, as far as their tour schedules in 98. But, this might be like one of those twinned movie things that came out at the same time. Your Volcano, Dante's Peak, the Truman Capote movies, or the Prestige Illusionist kind of thing. Yeah.
It's weird how often that happens.
Yeah.
I say this a lot, but it's sort of prescient because it's the first song I wrote. Oh no, is every single song literally, not the incorrect use of the word literally, the actual use of the word literally, is every song on this album literally about nothing.
It is, and so that's interesting. So this song alleges to be about aliens. You've got lots of lines, little green men, the children gather in wonder. There's lots of stuff like that. However, if you go to the last verse, it goes, 1,000,000 tiny bulbs exploding, out the theater doors they're screaming, ushers pick up treasures. As far as I can tell, this is not a song about aliens. This is a song about people who went to a movie about aliens.
It's a weird choice for your opening song because it opens with a lot of, as you said, bleeps and blorps. It hits a point very quickly where I'm just like, all right, not going to sing any words. Fuck you. Next track. And I think I did that quite a bit because I've listened to this album no less than 300 times in my life. And so, keeping with the theme of fuck you, next track, you ready to move on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it. Number 2, Diggin' Your Scene.
This was the first of many songs that I wrote down sounds like and then couldn't come up with anything. It definitely sounds like several somethings, but I'll be goddamned if I can figure out what.
And it's just so disposable. I can't really say that it sticks out. I know all the words. In some instances, I thought I knew all the words. As you'll come to find out, I had some pretty wrong interpretations of what was being said.
This song, so this is presumably a song about a guy obsessed with a shitty relationship.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No
idea. Because I went to your world-famous Genius Lyrics page, and this is the first time I've seen this. There were no annotations.
Yeah, that's true. Not a lot of people are pontificating on what this is about.
If you go to the Wikipedia page for this album, I have a longer Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
It's almost as though society just started to work on it and just went, it's fine.
Well, I think because this is the quintessential kind of 90s thing, the Sam Goody record here, where you've got two, and I'm using quotey fingers here, good songs, and then the rest is this just filler nonsense. I mean, the good songs here are also filler, but
they're at least songs, and there seems to be at least some sort of
yeah, there's a hook.
There's a hook.
I understand why it's catchy. There's a extremely dated Jerry Springer reference. I'm not sure why they thought that would age well.
It was dated in 99. I just want to point that out.
There's the Stephen Hawking voice doing the dig in your scene thing.
Yep, I wrote down, how dare you use Mr. Hawking's voice.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, because I really went through the lyrics and I tried to figure out what this is about, etc. And it's as far as I can tell, it seems to be the main theme seems to be a guy obsessed with a bad relationship. But none of, like, you keep getting these verses.
Do you know what makes you say that? Because
sure,
I don't
yeah.
know.
You've got lyrics, gluttons for pain, the girl is totally insane, I can't put out the flame.
Man, I pored over these lyrics, and I must have skimmed right past it in a blind rage.
Yeah, I mean, there's hints of that. But then you've also got this stuff. My friends tell me I should run. They say she's got a gun, but that only turns me on. So I don't know. I don't know. Jury's
I think
out.
it just rhymed.
That's the best I can come up with, man.
Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
I just want to see.
First thought on this. Fuck you for ripping off Sgt. Pepper's. There's a trumpet line throughout this entire thing, kind of in the background, that sounds exactly like Sgt. Pepper's.
I don't disagree. The argument, I'll play devil's advocate if I can. Let me get into character. That's ska, brah.
Yeah.
I hate it so much.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Okay, once again, perhaps I didn't know what ska was. I guess I only recognized what I'm going to term here to be true ska. Your Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, your Real Big Fish. The ones that came right out with it. But these sneaky skasters.
Yeah, it really, there should be a warning.
Yes, warning.
Because at
Ska.
this point in the album, we haven't hit true ska, but we will.
Yeah,
it's
we will
coming.
hit peak ska.
The lyrics for this, they sound like they were like intentionally written for a Pixar movie.
Yes. Every one of these songs, and this is something I've said before, were written for the express purposes of selling you a Mazda.
But I mean, this one specifically. So on top of all this other random stuff they've smashed together, it's got this sort of Randy Newman quality. It's a song about nothing, but it's just describing things in the room, things about Earth, actually. It's just, he's describing a day on Earth devoid of any commentaries. Dust bunnies, planet moving, bugs in the grass, Mr. Moon checking on how you're living.
And we've seen this before, Tim. This is classic, I don't know what words to put in my song, why don't I just list stuff?
Yeah. No, there's literally a line in here, watching the weeds grow.
Yes. There sure is. So this is the point, and I knew I'd written it somewhere. I was curious where in the album I wrote it down, but I had a revelation in this track. This is music created to pacify a populace.
Yeah.
This is what a fascist regime would create. This is what North Korea cranks out. And it's just like, oh yeah, no, we're having a good time. Everybody, we play the rock music. This is good, and it's not going to make anybody too excited, but it'll give you the illusion of music. You don't want to have any real revolution or anything or independent thought, but these guys are approved.
I sort of as a corollary to that. Now that you've said that, it sounds like this is a band that made an actual album, and then a fascist government came along and was like, well, you can't say that. And once they got done redacting it, and they kept trying to put lyrics in that would pass, this is what they came up with.
That makes total sense, yeah. Instead of saying, fight the power, what if we said, love the sunbeam? You ready for track 4?
Yeah, this is moving quickly. I like it.
Well, there's a lot to get through.
Yeah.
Track 4 is titled Waste. Apt.
Yeah, that's the first thing. Aptly named song is exactly what I wrote down too. Excellent.
Tim, are you ready for me to disclose a painful memory from my childhood? I know you are. So, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, and doing this show has opened my eyes to this fact, but I was raised by a television. 2 TVs, in fact. Nice couple.
Fred and Betty.
That's right. As such, I had a very skewed sense of what reality was going to bring. And in an effort to try to construct scenarios in which I would have an average teenage boy experience, that is to say, take girls on dates, kiss them goodnight, have a girlfriend, not have people throw garbage at me. Normal teenage stuff.
Right.
I would, instead of like building social skills or learning how to talk to people or finding common interests, I would architect these scenarios that would probably play really well in a 3-camera situation. But in reality, I now understand were terrifically creepy. Example. I took no less than 3 girls on a date, and as we were about 2 minutes out from dropping them off at their house, I clicked to this song, thinking it would create the perfect romantic atmosphere to make my move. Do you know how every one of those instances ended, Tim?
I'm assuming a blowjob? Was it a blowjob?
It wasn't.
Oh.
It was the question of whether or not my phone was ringing. Because about 2/3 into this song, there's just a phone ringing in the background.
No, I think that's a hip sample or noise. I don't.
Well, they were blowing up my spot when I was 16. That's for sure. It was after the 3rd one that I retired the song to create that perfect never been kissed moment.
It's why. I mean, I guess there's mentions of like romance or something in
No,
this.
I just thought it was I thought it was the type of song you would see at the moment where Zach dropped off Kelly in front of her house after going to hang out at,
And that's
at the Max.
that's fair. That's fair because before this, the guitar kind of sounds a lot like Oasis. It's got that sort of
Right. It's a mellow groove to slide in and kiss a fine lady on a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it ended the same way every time. Oh, I think your phone's ringing. I gotta go. And then they ran. Yeah. Now, granted, there's a chance, Tim, that some of the other things that transpired prior to that point in the date contributed to that reaction. But I'm going to blame it on the song.
You should, for your own sanity. Yep. I think that's wise.
Anyway.
It's as if they were just like, you know what, I've had enough of metaphors. I'm going to end that right now by using the worst of them so no one will ever bother with this again. It's these messy recipes of romance is a lyric. It
sounds like the tagline to a Sarah Michelle Gellar romantic comedy. All right, moving on to track number 5, the often cited, never liked, but certainly catchy All-Star.
Yes. So this is what I was talking about when I said this was the opposite of your this was written under a fascist regime thing. This song seems like it was written to coax Manuel Noriega out of an embassy, or possibly for some sort of Guantanamo Bay torture situation.
I gotta put you back into the time frame, though. This was 1999. Gas was 68 cents a gallon. We were all in our excursions, blaring awesome music in our wraparound Oakleys and soul patches.
I had just moved to the U.S. for the first time.
Right, some of you were dirty foreigners. But for us Americans, All-Star was an anthem of freedom and excitement about sweet tunes, good times, and bowling shirts.
Right, but I mean, part of American freedom requires murdering or imprisoning Manuel Noriega, correct?
Yes.
Okay, let's get him out of that embassy.
This would do it, yes. It is one of those songs. So I obviously I've heard it many times. Everyone's heard it many times. You don't have to be a sad sack that went deep on Smash Mouth to know this song. But I hate it so much. I at least understand why it was popular. It's catchy as all get out. I still can't stop singing it.
Oh no, I'll never stop singing it. I hadn't thought about this song in a decade at least.
So how soon in the listening to it this week did you go before you started just skipping this song?
I never did. That's not the game. We listened to the whole album all the way through.
This is why we do this show.
Oh my god. You son of a bitch.
No, I'm saying this is why we do this show. You're a purist and I respect it. I'm not skipping either.
Oh, excellent.
I power through this thing.
Excellent. Is this song like touting the benefits of being a complete moron?
I'm just, again, I feel like you've found things in these lyrics that I just...
It's this, your brain gets smart, but your head gets dumb. You'll never shine if you don't glow. Also, I
don't know what that means.
I don't either. But it's this dumb, like, all the lyrics of this song seem like it is written to be on an inspirational poster. Like, if you take a single line out of it, it's ridiculous.
This song was written from fortune cookies.
Yes, yeah. Shrek is the only place that this is appropriate. And even there, it's probably beneath it.
Well, you got to imagine they don't play the whole song during the movie.
It's probably...
I assume it's some sort of animated cat dancing around in a montage.
I'm sure it's a donkey, but also I'm almost certain
Donkey
they play
sauce.
this. Yeah, voiced by Eddie Murphy. I'm pretty sure that
Guy
bringing it
Fieri.
back to the donkey sauce. Yes, I'm pretty sure that they play this over the end credits.
Well, who was watching the end credits?
For Shrek, everyone, man.
That's just you.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, what can be said about All-Star? It is incredibly catchy and nostalgic for people of a certain age, to the point where if it comes on, I bet you a lot of people will listen to it. I never, ever will again.
Oh, no.
I really broke myself this last week listening to this album repeatedly. It's so tough, Tim.
Yeah, no, I'm going to spend the next 7 to 8 years of my life not listening to this and attempting to get it out of my head, because it's...
I'm going to routinely and at even intervals sing verses of this song to you so you never forget.
Yeah, you will do that.
It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, so I've got a few suggestions for our listeners of things to go, because if it only gets more ridiculous. But before I do that, first of all, whistling.
Whistling.
Yeah, because he whistles through the end of this song.
Yes, he does.
That's a risky move unless you're John Lennon doing Jealous Guy or Badly Drawn Boy or something like that, right?
And even he's not great at it.
No, well...
I saw him live and he told us he does not know how to whistle. It took him forever on the album.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe you just shouldn't do this if you're not a Liverpudlian.
I thought I didn't have a problem with the whistling on the album.
I do not care for it. It's not bad whistling necessarily. It's just that there's a time and a place, and I guess it didn't make the song worse, but that's not saying much.
I mean, to me, it's like somebody handed me a giant pile of shit and then they spilled milk on it.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Okay, still a pile of shit, friend.
Yeah. Other notes, goddamn record scratches. I didn't know that was going to be making an appearance.
Honestly, if you've got a ska hybrid, we both know record scratches are not far behind.
Yeah, that's true. So here's a genius annotation here, since we've been having difficulty figuring out what all these songs are about. It says, but the Meteor Men beg to differ, judging by the hole in the satellite picture. The genius annotation for this is, I think this is referring to global warming deniers.
It's about them.
Yeah, no, it is not. Also, that wasn't a thing in 99. Like, that's literally impossible for that to have been the case. So, some suggestions here. If you can't get enough of this song, there's a YouTube version of somebody who sings it a cappella. It just highlights just how terrible this is. And it's impossible, if you've ever heard this song, even once, it is impossible for that music to not be playing in your head. It's almost not an a cappella version. Your brain just does the work for it. So there's a couple other things. There's a guy who sings a karaoke version of this that's just one beat off. It's absurd. Drives me crazy. Then there's a second version from this exact same guy who sings a normal karaoke version, but every time he says the word "the" in the song, he adds a clothespin to his beard. It is unexplained why.
You need more.
And there's another person who is currently doing karaoke versions of every song ever written, but instead of singing the lyrics to those songs, he is just singing All-Star.
The word All-Star or
the lyrics to
song
All-Star?
I would rather buy an album from that guy than this album.
Absolutely.
Just to see what he could do. You know what? Okay, I'm done. We cannot talk about All-Star anymore.
Thank you.
We are not even halfway through this album.
Oh, God.
Now, luckily, as is often the case at this point in our show, I can say we are getting near the filler. And as hard as it is to imagine,
we are
getting near some real filler here. Moving on, track 6, Satellite.
You do it.
You do it.
Yeah. The whispering of that, Jesus Christ. That was
I definitely wrote down, please don't whisper in songs. This was not meant for the earbud culture. I don't need a Guy Fieri whispering in my ears.
No. Ugh.
Donkey sauce.
You know what? If you replace the You Do It whisper with him whispering donkey sauce, I'm back in. So this is a weird departure musically. It's this very loungy cabana music with...
Yes, it reminds me of Beck.
Yeah, from...
Mutations. Is that Melancholia? What is it called?
It's Tropicalia.
Tropicalia. Yes, it reminded me of a poor man's Beck, Tropicalia. If you're not familiar, find the album Mutations on your local streaming device and listen to it immediately. It's beautiful music.
And it's also got this weird Spanish guitar, like acoustic guitar thrown in. Don't understand that.
The very first thing I wrote about this song was this could be a Beck song if not sung by a strip club DJ.
The lyrics... They're written by an insane person, and again, Beck has a very specific way of becking, I guess, where what he's singing is nonsense, but it's great. This is the opposite of that. It starts out, it's got these dumb, like, kind of sci-fi adjacent themes. X-ray vision, there's frequencies exceeding the speeding laws of sound. I don't know what that means.
It means nothing to him. None of this means anything. The words fit in the amount of syllables they had to fill.
Right. If we were in a band together, and you came to me and you're like, I got a line, and you say, I'm the asteroid that will infiltrate your soul. Band over. We're done.
Wow. At least I would hope I'd get to give you context.
Yeah.
But unless I have some sort of David Bowie-esque concept album in mind, it's going to be hard to sell.
Well, right, but the context for that is that it's in a song with the line, you pushed the reset button on the counter of my heart. So, again, just not good at metaphors.
In this instance, it's... Well, I honestly don't think they tried.
No.
I think you're giving them so much credit for caring.
I don't know.
It's like those people you went to school with that they would do just the least amount possible to pass.
Yeah. And, they may not have cared whenever they were doing this, but they definitely care at least in retrospect. Because this guy, Steve, spends a lot of time defending his band against Twitter trolls, which is a losing battle.
That seems futile as fuck.
Yeah.
I've just had a revelation, Tim. See if this holds water.
All right.
This album is the auditory version of the Star Wars prequels. It's overdone. I feel like the producer of this album was one of the first guys to get a copy of Pro Tools, and he was a talented producer, and they took away his tape and they said, now you're using computers. And so he literally put on every filter and background and looping and effect he had on the goddamn software. Just like George Lucas was just like, no, we don't need any real sets. We'll do it all in the computer. They just did it all in the computer and never considered it. There might be a reason nobody else is doing that yet. It looks and sounds in this case like utter shit.
Yeah, I agree. Well, the Star Wars prequel thing sort of holds up in the sense that if you do it all, as you're saying, the faster route, that could sort of be forgivable if there's something behind it. Like if there's a soul to this album. And like the Star Wars prequels, there's not only is it cheap and shitty looking, but there's nothing underneath it either. So yeah, I agree with that metaphor.
There's no bones. This album has no bones.
Yeah. All right. Song 7 radio?
So one of the first things that hit me with this song, aside from just the sadness that I also knew the words to this song, it seemed like a very poor man's Elvis Costello.
That's exactly what I wrote down. I said this was a 90s or 2000s pop punk cover of Elvis Costello.
Granted, radio sounds a lot like radio, but still.
But see, that's what makes it more egregious is if you're going to steal his sound, why would you name the song Radio? That's like Carlos Mencia level stealing, right? Just Jesus Christ. This starts kind of promising, right?
I'll give you that.
The opening music to this, I didn't hate. And then he starts singing and it just devolves and garbage.
Yep. And this is where we really do start to hit that filler because it becomes intolerable.
Yeah, but like the filler of, say, Sublime or some of these, the intro to these songs doesn't suck. And then
they slide back into the same sound that has been lulling you into a suicide for the last 7 tracks.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Track 8. Stoned.
Right. This, again, the beginning of this, it sounds like a very, very early 60s. Didn't hate that. And then you get this weird, spacey reggae ska beat. This was the first one where I was just like, yes, Garrett's gonna hate this so much. Excellent. And,
I did.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the full effect if you've heard it before.
This song in particular, for some reason, started to really stand out to me, where I just started to realize this album is produced to holy hell. There's so much extra sound. Like, I'm genuinely curious to hear what did this song sound like when it was written.
Sure.
When it was just a guy singing on a guitar.
Sure, and in 2 years, we might get an acoustic version of this, because sometime this year...
Oh, that's coming.
Well, this year they're coming out with an acoustic version of their first album, so hopefully that will happen.
I mean, I can't imagine anybody other than somebody like you or I who's doing it as a goof is going to want that.
No, because the people that would like this would hate that.
Right. Well, maybe no one will like this, and everyone will like that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. This to me sounds a lot like Sublime. You've got more dated references. Clinton getting stoned is referenced in here.
Cool.
Yeah, and we're just getting high. Yeah, again, guys are very cool. My mind is blown, but it's my own, so deal with it.
They don't, I mean, Tim, come on.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Right.
Neither should you.
Right. It's insulting that presumably non-mentally handicapped adults wrote this.
Maybe.
Yeah. I'm like 90% sure that I read that they wrote this album in like a day and a half, which makes complete sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that would make total sense. Track 9, Then the Morning Comes.
This was, I think, another song that I had heard before.
It didn't probably change anything for you, did it?
No, well, so for this one, I would like to talk a little bit about what it's supposed to be about, and then we're going to do a little rapid-fire genius annotations.
Okay, hit me. What is it supposed to be
So
about?
I read an
source?
interview from the band about this. They said it's about like every day on the road being like Groundhog Day. You play a show, party afterward, wake up the next day feeling terrible, and then repeat.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's... Then the morning comes. That makes sense. So I'm going to give you just 6 or 7 lines and then just tell you what... And this is all from one person. One person went through and annotated the shit out of this song with...
So rather than do what you did and just find out what the band meant by it, they've interpreted it. This is the interpretation of a stranger.
This is an interpretation of a psychopath. It's very clear. Okay, so I'll just... Rapid-fire genius annotation here. Paint the town, possibly referring to someone leading a sexually libertine lifestyle. Then do it again. The act of fornication is to be repeated. You are the antibody. The main character rejects pregnancy, perhaps after morning after pills, open parentheses, plan B. So you push rewind just in time. The regular use of plan B is an afterthought rather than abstinence or safe sex. Thank anybody, an irreligious substitute for thank God /gosh /goodness that she is not with child, hinting that she is distancing herself from the moral codes that would challenge her to change her ways. Okay, you're gonna do it again. She will continue having unprotected sex and using Plan B as her only birth control for all the foreseeable future. The way you walk, it's just the way you talk, like it ain't no thing. An air of arrogance and overconfidence in the idea that she is impervious to conception. And the world's a craze. She and her many lovers have given up control to their own raging hormones. One more.
Okay, hit me.
Tomorrow's gonna hurt. Nervously anticipating childbirth and 18 plus years of child rearing. In the end there, I guess that slut got what's coming to her. I have wildly misinterpreted this song, and apparently the band has wildly misinterpreted this song.
I think that guy is a very untrustworthy girlfriend. What in the fuck? None of that's in there. None of that.
Oh, I love the focus. I love
listening.
the focus just on specifically on Plan B. He mentions it at least 4 times in 4 different lines that he has annotated separately here. Jesus.
I do think it was weird that he called out a brand.
Yeah.
What is this gentleman's screen name? Do you see it?
Yeah, 1 second. Oda Caesar. Oda Caesar. He's a highly ranked person on this. I don't know what that means. I assume it means he annotates a lot of shit.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Well, Oda Caesar, if you're listening,
Get help, man.
I hope you broke up with your girlfriend.
Jesus.
Or you could wear a condom. There's vasectomy is an option if it's a long-term
Honest, no,
relationship.
you know what?
You're going somewhere.
Either way, definitely wear that condom.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good call. Let's not procreate, either of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, she
Moving
seems like she might have something. Just wear the condom.
Oh, yeah.
Number
Well,
10,
of
Roadman.
Wear the condom. Why I Hate This Album. Go to the website for the new Why I Hate This Album t-shirt. Wear a condom. What's wrong with you? Number 10, Roadman.
Oh, Ratatata.
Ratatata.
Ratatata?
Nope, too many tas.
All right.
It's one raw,
3 tas.
3 tatas. I guess 2 tatas and a ta. The point is, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
And this is where things go peak ska.
Yeah, we've given up any pretense that this isn't a ska or reggae album. Does he absolutely need to do the Jamaican accent?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll tell you
I thought we were going to go a different way and agree on that, but go ahead.
I'll tell you why. The reason he has to do that is his throat is so sore. He has several polyps and should not be singing. Or maybe less cigarettes. I don't know. But he needs to rest that throat. Honestly, I welcomed it. At least it's not so raspy.
Yeah, fair
The
enough.
entire time I'm listening to this album, I'm just like, please welcome to the stage, Jasmine. Somebody wants. Worst stripping song ever.
I assumed it was popular for at least a while. This is going to sound crazy, but again, if you're almost certainly going to disagree. But as far as songs about roadies dying go, gotta go Neil Young, Tonight's the Night.
I don't disagree.
Oh.
Why would I disagree?
It seemed like you liked this song and his Jamaican accent.
No, Tim, let me clear something up right here right now. I hate this album.
Yeah.
I hate this album. I hate that scrawny, 135-pound, 5'7" jackass that was listening to it. I thought I was so cool. This is another one of those albums where I would queue up. I'm gonna admit this here. I would queue up All Star. I would queue up Can't Get Enough of You, Baby. I would throw on my cream-colored Oakley wraparounds. Not a lie. I would roll down my manual windows in my sweet, sweet truck and drive.
Before you go any further, answer me this. Is there a bowling shirt coming in this story?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's good.
No bowling shirts. I would drive into my high school parking lot, all but breaking my way too expensive speakers for a $4,000 car, so everyone would know how cool I was and how cool Smash Mouth is that I'm listening to it.
Oh, God. I time travel needs to exist so I can go bully you.
Hey, I'll help you.
Yeah, let's go back and beat the shit out of that kid. You might.
Something ought to set him straight.
Yeah.
No one's watching him, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
What else do you have? Anything else?
Got nothing for this. Don't give a shit.
Nothing for this. We are in the home stretch, Tim.
Yep.
Let's bring it home strong.
Last
Fallen horses.
This I don't care about.
You know what I wrote? If you were to get a hold of the set list that they put on stage for the band so everyone's on the same page as to what comes next, this song is called Piss Break. Because nobody's hanging around to listen to this shit.
It's
pointless.
And I read through the lyrics, it's trying. This one, I think they were trying on the lyrics to be like poignant or something.
I love that you said that because I read the lyrics and I'm looking at the page top to bottom and I said, wait a minute. This is half a song. So I went and I looked at the other songs and I did some quick calculations. This song has the least number of words.
Right.
It has 118 words.
Based on my reading of the lyrics, this to me sounded or read like a much shittier Tears in Heaven. And that made me laugh a lot.
I'll definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Got nothing else for this. Don't give a shit.
No. Nobody should spend any more time on this than we have. Moving on. Track 12. Defeat You.
Yeah. This song, the internet describes as a song about kicking ass and taking names.
I wrote down, this song seems to be about how cool it is to be better than other people.
I was really hoping you were going to say you wrote down this song is about kicking ass and taking names. And then that you wrote that on the internet a bunch of times. I agree completely with both of those assessments. I would just add the modifier delusional to that.
I renamed this song Thesaurus the Song because it just seemed like they were trying to find some, like, oh, that's a cool word to put in a song. What else is a big word we could throw in there?
It sounds like something an especially shitty middle schooler would write just after watching Rocky. Some choice lyrics. They're born as a human with mechanics to win, kung fu spine. Would you do anything, whatever it takes? You're in it to win it. You jive, you shuck, you bob, you weave.
Yeah, it sounds like he was watching clips of Muhammad Ali.
Right.
Somebody, to quote the great Ali. I don't want to spend any more time on this shit.
Yeah, I'm good.
Track 13. Come on, come on.
What does this sound like? It's
children's music pretending to be for adults.
nah, but the music sounds very much like something, and I can't place it. It's been driving me crazy.
Classic ska.
All right.
Track 14, Home.
This sounds a lot like Sublime, specifically doing time.
Okay, I was going to say it's a Willy Wonka Oompa Loompa reject song mixed with the Haunted Mansion soundtrack. Because there's a lot of spooky organ. I kept waiting for some old man to pipe in, ooh, goose and goose.
This song, or this whole album, I used to like organ. Get a little B3 Hammond organ in there. That's good stuff.
Sure.
Can't
good stuff.
You get a little like 1965 Dylan, even Doors for as much as you can,
handle of it.
Right. I might be out on organ forever.
It's hard to argue. It's funny because I didn't even notice the organ on the album the first time through until I hit this song. And then after I heard this song,
yeah, it's in a lot of them.
And it's a lot of them. And it's the worst use of organ / keyboards that there's a good chance it is all just an electric piano.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is. Instead of listening to this, I would recommend anyone listen to Eminem's Lose Yourself. It's the shitty version of the song. I was very confident about that. I wrote it down and then I listened to it again, looked through the Genius lyrics, and agreed with that. And I'm looking through the lyrics. I don't know what I meant by that. I don't know what that reference. Maybe listen to it. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't. I don't stand behind it currently.
I don't stand behind most of the things I say. I thought so. Two really odd things about this song: opera singers kick in at some point. I don't know what that's about, nor could I really find an explanation anywhere. And then I would wager no one's ever heard this song.
No, probably not.
I don't think anyone's ever heard it because as I mentioned, I've heard this song 1,374 times. On purpose, 1,373 of those times. I've never heard this song. I don't know any of the words, Tim.
To me, this sounded exactly like every piece of music that was on this, I think you can find on that self-titled Sublime album. It made me very angry that I was tricked into listening to that garbage again.
So let's wrap it up with the last song on the album is an addition from a previous soundtrack that they were commissioned. I believe it was Can't Hardly Wait.
Yes.
Or 10 Things I Hate About You.
One of those.
Probably can't.
They're the same movie. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Young nubile white blonde girl, possibly brunette. Virgin, won't go out, then goes on a date. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, they were commissioned to do it on a soundtrack. They did it. It was quite popular, and they tacked it on the end of this song as part of a money grab.
And so we should note this song is a cover.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until this week.
I didn't either. So this is a cover of a 1966 song that was made famous. Do you know what the band name that made this famous?
Something in the Mysterians?
Question mark in the Mysterians. It's with a band name like that. I'm surprised I've never heard of them before because that makes me laugh.
I want to say I read about it in my history of rock class, but I could be making that up now.
Did you go back and listen to that version, by the way?
No, I didn't.
This is the exact same version of that. It's musically, everything's the exact same, with the exception of this guy's dumbass voice just overpowering in the foreground.
Just Guy Fieriing his way through it.
Yeah. I mean, the worst bit of this song is just how, dumb but catchy it is. But again, I can't, for this one, I can't blame this band for that. I think maybe
it's a cover.
Maybe they also got it stuck in their head, and they're like, well, the only way to not go completely insane from this is to foist it on an unsuspecting public. Still, fucking...
Hey, listen, if I could perform this album in its entirety and make money off of it, I would. Instead, I'm just trapped in my own home singing it to those around me until they murder me in my sleep.
Your girlfriend and possibly dog are
They're gonna kill me. They're gonna team up, conspire to murder me for singing Smash Mouth.
Yeah.
I just can't help it. It's a disease. I have smash mouth allopathy. I don't know what it is, Doc. I just keep somebody. What's happening? I go to eat. I can't make love with my wife. I lean in to kiss her. Somebody wants. Oh God.
You know
More
what?
acceptable than whatever this guy's reasoning for making that song was.
Yeah. Do you have anything else for that?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, let me give it a nice, sweet, long, slow fuck you to this entire album.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. But we're done. Done. Those are the songs on this album.
We hate them.
Yes, I hate the songs. I hate how they come together. I hate the play. I just fuck this album. It is infuriating garbage. So I read about their career a little bit, and the internet seems to have this weird collective attempt to try to make these guys, or maybe just the lead singer, commit suicide through a campaign of mockery.
Okay.
And
so far, I'm on the internet.
yeah. I mean, you almost start to get to the point where you're like, maybe they don't deserve like the level, because Reddit. That's it. Yeah, Reddit can get bad, but you can't give this horseshit album a pass no matter what.
Nope.
But at this point, the band seems to be pretty much a joke as far as I can tell. They still have plenty of fans, but to the majority of the internet, they seem like just a punchline. Sometimes they seem to have a fairly good sense of humor about it. And an example here of them being a joke on the internet, on June 26, 2015, Supreme Court legalizes gay marriage. They respond to this by tweeting their logo in rainbow.
Right, I remember this.
The Washington Post immediately, within minutes of this being posted, they had a picture of this on their website with the tagline, "The last time Smash Mouth had a hit, 0 states had gay marriage."
It did seem needlessly mean, but you know what? Fuck those people.
Yeah,
Fuck Guy Fieri.
I mean, again, it seems needlessly mean, but then, go ahead.
I'm not going to do it just because you want me to.
You son of a bitch. Yeah. Okay.
Somebody.
You know what? That was perfect. You waited just until I did not want to hear it. You want to talk a little bit?
Somebody wants.
You son of a bitch. God, I hate you. And I hate this band, and I hate what it's done to your brain. I thought I was going to love what it did to your brain.
It broke me. Okay, you ready to talk about... I have one very funny story that I found in my research.
Go ahead.
You ready for this? Mm-hmm. Okay. So in 2015, Smash Mouth was playing a set at the Taste of Fort Collins Food Festival here in the old Fort Collins, Colorado, when Steve Harwell, a.k.a. Guy Fieri, as he likes to be called, broke from his set and went into an angry 3-minute expletive-laden tirade, threatening to beat the audience members responsible for hitting him with bread. It gets better. The band played the opening chords of All-Star throughout a significant portion of his rant.
Yeah, so I've got another story that seems to indicate his band doesn't really give a shit about him. But
what do you got?
So, not quite as funny story to begin with. On August 27th, 2016, he was performing a concert with the band in Urbana, Illinois. And he collapsed on stage due to excessive drinking and was then taken by ambulance to a hospital. And then the band just completed the concert without him. I've never heard of a lead singer being carted off in an ambulance and everyone just being like, all right, well...
We don't really need
him.
Right,
yeah.
Come to find out the guitarist has a beautiful voice.
I mean, again...
It can't be worse. No. Can't be worse. I would even wheel Bob Dylan up in his little wheelbarrow and let him grumble into a microphone for 2 hours. It might be better than that. So, I know you did a little research. How did the critics take this album?
So overall, initially, it wasn't bad. Like, there's a lot of 3 to 5 star reviews. People seem to like their first album and think it was kind of punkish.
For some reason.
Yeah, but overall, critics didn't hate this album. I don't know why.
Yeah, from what I read, it was largely just kind of it's fine.
I think also part of that was people listened to it once, wrote a review, and then published that review. And didn't give it a week of this stuff repeating over and over in their head as they fucking chopped holes in doors looking for their family members in a goddamn...
I did waste a ton of paper this week.
Yeah, so like
Smash Mouth and No Play makes Garrett something.
Yeah, like to me it seems a lot like maybe they didn't give it enough time to really let it sink in just how fucking terrible this is.
We're out there doing the hard work, Tim.
Yeah,
getting you the real
long-form
results.
discussions. That's where it's at. How did it do? Did you do anything?
Hit us.
Okay.
How'd it do?
So, as with most albums we do on this show, this did disappointingly well. It wasn't a number 1. It hit number 6 on the Billboard chart. All Star, which I just assumed was a number 1, as far as I could tell, it hit number 4 was the best that it did.
Yep.
At least on the
That's all I
main
found.
chart. I think it hit number 1 on like the adult contemporary, which doesn't make any goddamn sense. But it sold,
About
at
this album?
least worldwide though, this album has sold at least 3 million copies.
That's at least 2 million more copies of their album than you've sold.
Yes, I know. I've personally sold 1 million copies of Smash Mouth Astro Lounge.
It's so strange.
Yeah.
That's so disappointing to hear.
Yeah.
No wonder we're living in the society we are today. I dare I say that we can trace back the roots of Trumpism and this new national populism to perhaps 1999 Smash Mouth. It didn't help, I will at least say.
Whatever their role is in the world, whatever the magnitude of that role, it's a net negative. We can at least say that.
In typical fashion, an album which we hate did shockingly well and was well received. Tim, let us hear the reviews you've collected from Amazon. Are these from people that love the album, hate the album, both? What do you got?
So there's a smattering of each. Most of the 1 stars are something to the effect of like, what the hell happened? Their first album is awesome. This is not as good. Very strange.
Well, I feel like we're getting an invitation for a part 2 on Smash Mouth.
Oh, I'm super excited. I think we should wait.
Back to back.
No.
Back to back.
No, the reason we can't do that is we have to wait until the acoustic album comes out.
That's
because we got
20th anniversary.
Right, which should be at any point now because we're getting close to the end of 2017. Anyway, 5-star reviews on here. 5 stars, 2015. Somebody wrote this. Seriously, this is my favorite album. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, entitled
And
to
you know
your
what?
own opinion.
That one, that might have been someone's attempt at satire. I can live with that. Okay. 2010. I love this album. I've been listening to it for years. This is one of those albums that you will want to play just straight through. The surprise is that some of the best songs, Fallen Horses, for example, are not the hits. The songs all have different beats and tempos and are all terrific. I just love the cheerful thugs that are Smash Mouth.
Written by Guy Fieri. God almighty, that was the worst song.
I mean, All Star is the worst song.
If that guy looks identical to me, he's my evil twin. Find out if he has a twisty mustache.
Okay, 2008, modern day classic. No matter who you are or what you like or where you're from, everyone likes at least one song off this album. At least one. Smash Mouth may have toured with NSYNC and they may have sold out after their punk roots, but you cannot deny that they are classic. Maybe not epic, legendary, but this album is at least classic. Their greatest hits of all time, that's in almost every movie, All-Star. Can you try not to sing along with it? Just try, I dare you.
It's in 2 movies, not every movie.
All right, but at least that point is fair. You can't not sing along with it.
Yeah, okay,
That's
I'll give
fair.
him that. I also like that they came in, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, but they came in with a pretty low bar. At least one.
Okay.
Seems like a reasonable fellow so
Right.
far.
Okay, that's going to go away. There are a few bands with Smash Mouth's modern style, and those with it cannot do it as well or remain as popular as Smash Mouth. The ska, reggae, modern punk, see Third Eye Blind or Eve 6 are strong. Very strong. Anyway, I can listen to this entire album and sing along with every song and be moved by every word. Steve Harwell may not be crying over the microphone or screaming into oblivion, but his words emote more than the fakers can ever imagine. You know when he's happy, sad, upset, confused, disgruntled, or high. It's wonderful to be able to sense that in pop music. If you don't like any songs on this album, I'll gladly... Hang on. All right, let me compose myself. Sorry.
All right, get it together, goddammit.
Sorry. All right, if you don't like any songs on this album, I'll gladly shoot you in the face.
What?
Because you're a liar. This album is great. If you don't like any songs on this album, I'll gladly shoot you in the face because you are a liar. This album is great. It's what I was saying while I was laughing uncontrollably. What the fuck is that? I'll gladly shoot you in the face. Gladly! I'll gladly shoot you in the face.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Can you reply to Amazon reviews?
You can. There's
I am
a comment. This is, unfortunately, this is 2008. He might not get it.
Great stuff, though.
Yeah.
What a great
Jesus
review.
Christ.
Okay. We've had some fun. Mostly it was terrible. Let's wrap this thing up. Final thoughts.
I hate it more than before. Your comments have made me hate it quite a bit more, actually. I'm definitely going to be singing it for weeks to months. When I forget it, if you bring it up, I may gladly shoot you in the face. Yeah. So, I mean, my initial assessment stands for this.
Still hate the album.
Yeah.
Same here. I mean, I'm not going to belabor it. I hate it. I hate it more than when we started. I hate myself for liking it as much as I did. I hate my parents for not paying closer attention to what their son was doing. Could have used some guidance on this one, guys. So who is this album for, Tim?
I honestly don't have a good answer for that. Children.
I am going to say fascist regimes, Democratic Republic of North Korea. Stalin could have used it. I think it's for the people that are in that George Orwell's 1984. All of these people can be placated by this generic, non-inspiring, it lacks a soul. You put it perfectly. There's no emotion to this, nor does it elicit any feelings.
Parts of it I could see being played in 50 years whenever our generation is in the old age home. Might work for that. Just to kind of keep everyone
we're going to be doing
placated.
aqua aerobics to this fucking album. And that's where they're going to find my wrinkly corpse in a bedroom somewhere. Just smeared in blood on the wall. All that glitters is gold. I think we're ready to wrap it up.
Yeah.
This has been Why I Hate This Album. I'm Garrett Harvey.
Tim Richardson.
The riffs are too repetitive, the lyrics make no sense. All the songs are B-sides and the cover art's a mess. There's so much here to tear apart. Listen to it for a week, now that week has passed. It's Why I Hate This Album podcast with Tim and Garrett.